welcome one and all to the Doctor Who Alhambra Podcast, aimlessly wandering in the fourth dimension. This is mine, Liam, and our surprise new cast members' little project to go through that show that we all know and love and review it, because being gentlemen who are of the lacking of the visual aspect variety, Doctor Who has now been audio described. For those of you that don't know, audio description is where the pictures are described so that mugs, like me, him and him, can understand what's going on, and we have never had this facility before. So, I hope you will join us and you will enjoy three blind blokes talking about one 60-year-old TV show, a story at a time.
For hours.
Now, for hours on end. Now, I'm going to introduce ourselves. So, you know me, I am the Lord of Speculation. My name is Legion. Joining me in England is Liam.
Hello.
Say hello, Liam. I can't remember what you're master of.
I'm apparently an audio aficionado, apparently, according to ChatGPT.
He's an audio aficionado, apparently.
Mm-mm.
And in reality, we have a new host who is an audio aficionado.
Indeed.
From the deepest, darkest time lash, would you please introduce yourself?
Hello, thanks for having me. My name is Robert, aka Arion, and it's great to be here.
No problem.
You're welcome. You won't be saying that when we release the chains and let you
I hope
free.
so.
You'll basically be saying, let me go. I'm really glad we've got somebody else here to bounce off of, because me and Liam will just bicker.
No, we don't
Won't we, Liam?
bicker.
Yes, we do.
Shut
We're
up.
doing it already.
Oh, no, we're not. Is it Panther season
comment.
yet?
So, anyways, we are recording this today on Friday the 17th
Yep.
of
November,
which is terrifying.
it is.
Which is almost, in 6 days' time, 60 years since the episode that we're going to be reviewing today. Now, I thought for an opener, we could discuss An Unearthly Child, but the 25 minutes of An Unearthly Child, not the Tribe of Gum, because I feel if we do the entirety of Tribe of Gum as an episode, we'll lose a lot of listeners. And Steph Coburn will have a head fit.
I mean, let's face it, he's probably going to have a head fit anyway, regardless. So,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely. So, yes, today we are discussing An Unearthly Child, broadcast at 5:15 p.m. on the 23rd of November, 1963, and then 1 week later on the Saturday after
Yep.
at 5:15 p.m. Written by Anthony Coburn and directed by Waris Hussein, and it stars in a brand new show on BBC television. William Hartnell as Doctor Who, Carol Ford as that girl that screams a lot, William Russell as everybody's favourite 60s action hero, and Jacqueline Hill as everybody's cardigan aficionado, Barbara Wright. We join the story in a deep, dark alleyway outside Foreman's scrapyard on Totters Lane. Gentlemen, I'm going to stop doing this silly voice because I sound like one of the characters from Men in the Ministry, and let's talk about this normally.
Indeed.
So, I don't know for Robert, I know for Liam, this is the first time I have properly watched this with no sight. I have seen An Unearthly Child with sight. I can't remember it very well, but I have seen it. And
Yeah.
audio description to these, I think, is just magnificent.
You know, to me, it was pretty much a dream come true. It's just amazing to see description being released for these, and I mean, you really have to be dedicated to enjoy a show like this, and to go back to the classic era even and say, this is perfect. And we'll see that it's
Yes.
not quite perfect. But I very much enjoyed, yes. And I haven't seen this episode without description.
What I will say is, when the announcement came, Liam sent a notification to the group going, "Oh, it's all been uploaded to BBC iPlayer." And I don't think you read the article because you didn't know it had been audio described to begin with, did you?
I can't remember. No, I think I just saw that
'cause-
it'd been uploaded, or it was going to be uploaded at that point.
Yeah, and then little bits of information got trickled out, and then it went, "Oh, by the way, guys, we're audio describing all of it." And you know when you're like, "Wow."
Yeah. I did sort of make a sound that I probably would never be able to replicate again, but, you know.
First time I've seen this, it was in a news article, and they mentioned that they want to support as many people as possible.
Yes, which is excellent because it's not just audio described. There's a sign language option, subtitles. It's incredible.
Is there a sign language option? Because I looked on the BBC iPlayer website and it says no sign language option.
Fairly sure it's been signed.
Which is
don't
great,
know.
isn't it, really? I mean, it's about time that
No, it really is.
you know,
Yeah,
like we complain because
there are.
we complain
We like to.
in the sense of we say that we don't get enough audio description, but I mean I think if you look at it, there's far less signed content than there is audio described.
But there is a lot more subtitled
Yes.
content than there is signed.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
but I just think, well done, the BBC. You know, well done for them to, and not just, they've already described the animations, and all the animations will eventually be coming to the BBC.
Nice.
It's opened up Doctor Who to me again. Like I was going through Big Finish Burnout, I was going through all this, and then I saw the classic series was getting audio described, and just, I was so happy.
It just made
You
my
guys posted something on the Fediverse, which was taking its rounds, and everybody was pretty much enjoying the fact that it's indeed coming, and it was just an unimaginable feeling, really, just to see that they are doing it.
Yeah. I mean, nobody saw this coming.
No, literally no one. I wonder how much of that was RTD, and I wonder how much of that was the BBC, in all honesty.
I think a big chunk of it will have been the BBC.
You think?
RTD will have got the ball rolling, because RTD basically went, we need to do something big for the 60th. But then I think the BBC went, well, if we're using this, we may as well do this as well.
Yeah.
And thank goodness for audio description on classic Doctor Who. Is the episodes that I've watched, it's just opened them up to me.
Completely.
I mean, starting from just a theme,
Yeah.
when they describe how the TARDIS moves and whatnot, it's really amazing.
Yeah, it really, really is.
I mean, I never knew how the theme titles looked.
No, and it's really interesting because even for the modern episodes, they don't describe it as detailed.
No.
No, they don't. Swirling through an effervescent haze
Yeah.
is my favourite one.
Yeah. and
Or the TARDIS spinning through cogs and dials.
yeah. And I mean, and what's interesting is obviously it changes over the years. So the way they also describe the Doctor's faces as well. Like you've got like the impish second Doctor, or the bit weird the grey-haired third Doctor. I was like, but he didn't have grey hair; he had white hair. But anyway,
Yeah, he did.
eh?
Silver white.
Silver, yeah, exactly.
Silver white.
It's not grey because grey was Capaldi, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But hey, I mean, minor details and all that. Was it broadcast
very
late the first time or the second time? No, it must have been the first time. It was broadcast a couple of minutes late because of the Kennedy assassination.
Yes, it was. It's the first one. Which is why it was given a rerun 1 week later,
Yeah.
which was in the 60s not heard of.
Not heard of, no.
No,
not at all.
No.
And it was originally set up to be 13 parts,
13?
which, 13.
Bloody hell, oh my God. Can you imagine oh my God, that would have been slow.
Yep.
Oh.
No, not the 100,000 BC. The whole series was given an order of 13 episodes.
Oh, okay. Right.
Because the 100,000 BC would have been super, super slow.
Yeah, if it was 13 episodes, it would not be running now.
No.
Yeah, I think
Not
it
at all.
was slow even with 3, but more about that later.
Mm.
When we get to that, there are some interviews from Waris Hussein, which is hilarious. But, we had the first 13. We had an Unearthly Child. We had the Tribe of Gum, 100,000 BC.
No.
And the final episode that makes up the Tribe of Gum.
No. It was An Unearthly Child,
The Cave of Skulls.
Cave of Skulls, Forest of Fear, and the Firemaker.
Liam, I'm genuinely amazed. I'm proud of you.
What? Why? I can remember stuff.
Because you've clearly spent that much time editing that you've got these engroached in your brain. Okay, here's your next challenge. What are all 7 episodes of the Daleks?
Oh, I've not watched those, so I couldn't tell you.
No, it's all right.
The Dead Planet.
We'll come to that later.
We're not editing this out.
No. Oh well.
But no, we had the 13 episodes, and it was originally this, then it was the Daleks. That takes us to 11. And then we had 2 more. But Daleks wasn't meant to be the next story. It was meant to be the Masters of Luxor.
Well, yes. Which is quite a good story, if I remember rightly.
It's not bad, but Anthony Coburn then ducked out of that one, and they got the writer for Hancock's Half Hour on board, who said he'd like to give a fair old crack of a whip at a science fiction story. And science fiction history was made with the Daleks, and then we got Edge of Destruction. And if it weren't for the BBC renewing it very late in the day, we wouldn't have Marco Polo.
No. And that would have been it for Doctor Who.
Technically, we don't have it with visuals now, but that's a different story.
Well, I mean...
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Semantics, dear boy. Semantics.
Thank God for geeky fans, eh?
But no.
I know.
I know. I don't know if you guys have heard them, but Toby Haydock does a podcast series. Toby Haydock is a gentleman and a scholar, I would just like to say.
He is
one of the world's nicest people.
And a good voice actor, too.
A very good voice actor. But genuinely, he is one of the world's nicest people. Is it that obvious?
Yeah.
Soon it will be.
I hope he doesn't listen
For the
to
listeners,
this.
too.
I'm not yet, but I'm going to be featuring one of his podcasts later in the series. He is doing every single episode of Doctor Who, classic and new, and he's getting people to basically send in what their favourites were.
Yeah.
And he asked me to do one.
Cool.
Which was thoroughly pleasant of him. Like, literally, I got it out of the blue, and he was like, I know you do a podcast. Can you do this? And I was like, yes, please. I think I might die a little bit. I'm in awe. So what we open up very much on a dark night,
foggy night alley,
foggy night
with a policeman with a
outside
torch.
Trotters Lane, policeman with a torch,
and yeah. What's interesting as well is
the AD just sets the atmosphere.
Yeah, and what's interesting is the theme lasts for a long time into the opening.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
That reminds me, I don't know if I'm alone with this, but personally, I really like classic Who because of the atmosphere.
Yes. Black and white Who especially.
I would love, just for once, just for them to, in the new series, just strip it right back and just use the original theme. Like, no bells, no whistles, just as it was intended. Even if it was just for a season or just for a Doctor, like, it would be nice to go back to, here, Gen Z folks, this is what actual Doctor Who sounded like originally.
I mean, I wouldn't mind if they've added
can you
a
imagine?
bit of,
maybe maybe
Can you imagine?
drums or whatever, but
if the Disney rumour is true and they use the Big Finish 8th Doctor theme tune, But that's a different story altogether. We will
come on to that.
So you are absolutely correct. Like I didn't realise the sheer amount of activity that goes on before the theme tune fades, and it does. It slowly fades into the school, and it's Ian, isn't it? First talking character we get to is Ian.
Yeah, I think it is. Because he's in the office, isn't he? And
yeah, Barbara and Ian.
Yes. Because they have concern. And we were talking the other day, Liam, and you're absolutely right. The propheticism of Susan basically going, oh, you're not in a decimal system yet. This is 1963.
We didn't get decimal till 1971.
You know.
Like...
no, we didn't.
And, again, hats off to Anthony Coburn for, writing that. And I think it's very interesting to sort of sit back and rewatch all the classic stuff and go, oh yeah, they predicted that. That's now come true. And all all these little details that you think, and I guess people at the time just thought was so like, oh, no, that's far-fetched, like this is ridiculous. And then a lot of it has come to pass. It is amazing how much Doctor Who predicts the future.
Yes.
I think.
Yes, it is. But I love we get them discussing Susan, and looking at it visually, it's very wobbly the way it's filmed. But audio described, you wouldn't know how wobbly it is. The school scenes and the different classes and so on and so forth. They've got to pack a punch into these 25 minutes because it's the launch of a series.
Yeah.
So we've gone from a big chunk of the episode is confrontation, really. We've gone from finding these two school teachers who are our POV. We've got a young girl. We don't get Doctor Who until about 16, 17 minutes in. But as soon as William Hartnell turns up, he steals the scene. And I just love the fact that they describe that he's wearing a hat and what sort of hat it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What hat was it again?
Look, I didn't know. It's an Astrakhan hat, and I didn't know he wore a scarf.
No, neither did I.
No, I didn't either. I was really surprised.
Yeah.
Because it's more of a Tom Baker and to a point McCoy.
And it's yes,
to a point,
McCoy
yeah.
wore one as well.
But do you think that was
he smokes a pipe?
Yeah, he smokes a pipe. Yeah, in the second episode, I was just like, it's crazy. But do you think though that was more that he was wearing a scarf because it was cold and whatever else and all that, or do you think his costume changes over time?
I think, like all of them, it changes over time. Because I mean, look at Patrick Troughton. His original characterization was he's the goofy one. He likes hats, and he didn't wear a hat after the Underwater Menace.
No. Oh, okay. Was that when he stopped? I didn't know.
That he wore. Yeah, Paul McGann wore a wig.
He did, yeah.
Yes,
it was a wig. It wasn't his hair. Because his actual hair was shaved because I think he had another role and.
Yeah, he just was it. It wasn't long after Alien 3.
No, yeah.
And they told him to keep the hair for the roles that he was doing.
Die-hard fans will know that this episode had been reworked from the pilot episode earlier.
Yes. I would love to see the pilot audio described because the amount of cock-ups that go on in that. Like, when you're watching it, and the TARDIS scene. And the doors just keep opening and closing until eventually some bloke runs across the background and goes, "Boosh," and slams them.
It was a really good one. I mean, even though, you can't really take it seriously sometimes because, hiccups happen.
There are also some really interesting script changes.
Yes.
Between the pilot and this.
Yes.
So when, the Doctor's whole speech of, do you know what it's like to be wanderers in the fourth dimension?
Don't forget
That's ended with, in the pilot, Susan, me and grandfather are from the 45th century.
Yeah.
Which is completely edited out in
The
An Unearthly Child,
Yeah.
which works very much. It adds mystery
Yes.
to
it
it.
does, yeah.
And the description of the TARDIS when they first go in it, the original TARDIS, is great. You know, vast open area full of columns, clocks, central console. Am I right in thinking they describe it? It looks a bit like a mushroom, which made me chuckle. Do you know what I really like about this? We get a series, and we're like, oh, it's going to be an adventure series for the family, but mainly children, but for the family, and it's going to be a nutty old professor who's a kind old sort.
Mm.
In this, he is not a nice person.
No, he's not.
No, he really isn't.
He is irascible. He's downright disruptive, and then he kidnaps Ian and Barbara.
Because he kidnaps him, and then in episode 3, he's going to kill Tsar. You know, with a
Guy
rock.
with a rock.
It's just like,
Yeah.
he's not a nice, well, Time Lord, is he at this point?
No, not at all. He's literally out for his own gain and his interactions with humanity.
Susan had a very
Susan's great in this.
important observation later in this episode, because she literally points out that the only person you care about is yourself.
Mm.
Yes. And he's like, that's not true. I care about you. You know, if you hadn't brought them back here, we wouldn't be in this situation. If your odd behaviour hadn't brought them back here, you know, we wouldn't be in this situation, which I think is really, really interesting.
It is.
And a lot of people say that Carol Ann Ford is not the best of actresses, which I very much agree with. But do you know what? She does bloody good in this. Like the confrontation where they're all around the TARDIS and Ian's like, let us out. And the Doctor's like, okay, I'll let you out, no problem. And she's just, you can hear the panic in her voice going, don't, no.
Yeah.
And then he presses the button.
Mm.
And they dematerialise.
And speaking of the dematerialization, interestingly, it's the one and only time that taking off causes most of them to fall unconscious.
Yeah.
Yes, it
This
is.
You don't see that often.
No,
You very rarely see that.
I don't think it happened again, did it, in the TV series, at least? Not that I'm aware of.
No,
I
it
don't
didn't.
think so.
It didn't at all. They do end up unconscious quite a lot of times.
Yeah, but not because of the TARDIS flight.
Not because of the traveling.
Not because of the TARDIS. It's television history. But if you didn't know it was television history, it's still an excellent opening episode.
Mm.
I agree.
Just marvellous. It really, really is such a good and such a strong story. It sets up the characters. It sets up the mystery.
Sets up the premise
because
of the
there is a
show.
mystery. We have no idea what's happening.
Mm.
Yeah.
And just for a second, if we think about the fact that this was supposed to be a pilot, would modern television do this? Because I think two teachers talking about being concerned about their pupil, I think it would be regarded as...
It's very modern. It's very modern.
Mm. Mm.
Well, I'm
But
not
then
sure
again,
if they would
back in the day,
spend time on that in a pilot episode.
Well,
well, here's
not
the thing.
not
If
in
it
a
was
family
modern-
show. No, maybe in like an adult crime drama or something. Like, you know, if there's concerns and stuff, I can understand it. But definitely not in a kids or more family orientated show. No way.
Let's be perfectly honest. If it was a modern show and they had concerns, they'd go to the local government, and then the local government would go to social services, and then social services would send somebody out, and it wouldn't be Ian and Barbara. They'd just be carrying on at Coal Hill School.
Yeah.
It'd be, poor Joe, the social worker,
Yeah.
who's literally there. I'm just doing my job.
Yeah.
It was just very interesting
We're
to me,
overstretched as it
because
is.
you normally wouldn't see this in a modern show.
No, you wouldn't.
No, you wouldn't. No, not at all.
Especially a modern kids show.
Mm.
And it was interesting at the time that it's a kids show, but it wasn't produced by BBC Children at the time. it was produced by the drama department, and they were very much begrudging of this.
And then to add more to it, later on the ridicule came with the Daleks, but that's for a later time.
Well, the Daleks, I mean, it's interesting because the original remit for the show was, can anybody remember what Sidney Newman's remit for the show was?
No BIMs.
That's the one.
Yep.
Or bug-eyed
BMs.
monsters, basically.
Bug-eyed monsters.
And that's what's sold. So...
Yep.
Yeah.
But they're bug-eyed monsters, but not in the stereotypical way of bug-eyed monsters.
No.
Like, I watched this episode, and I watched this episode on its own. I've not done the other 3 parts yet. I will do them, but I've not done them yet. And it was over too quickly.
It was.
Mm.
The first episode is.
I mean, you can understand why Colin Baker said, he was a law student and he came in from London and it came on and he just stood on the stairs in his flat watching it from the stairs, and then 25 minutes later, he was still stood there, and he was 20 at the time, so
he was in his 20s, yeah.
Mm.
Well, what is he? He's 80 now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Or is he 81? He's 81 now.
Yeah. God.
So he was 21 then.
Mm.
And, you got to think that the people that this affected, you've got Colin Baker, you've got RTD, you've got Peter Davison.
Peter Capaldi, David Tennant.
Peter Capaldi. Yeah, David Tennant wasn't born by this point.
No, he wasn't. But I mean, yeah. But yeah, Peter Capaldi.
The people that saw this episode and were impacted by it is just incredible. And what I have to say is thank you to the BBC for opening this up to us.
Yeah.
Through people with disabilities. To access these stories and get an appreciation. Like, we're going to get to later episodes and we're going to be able to appreciate them more.
God, yeah.
We're going to get to
Arc of
the
Infinity.
Green Death, and that's going to be describing the maggots, Arc of Infinity. But the audio description avoids the wobbly sets.
Yeah.
Which I think is great. So we're not going to have it tainted by the wobbly sets. We don't have to
worry about that.
Suspend disbelief.
No, we'll just get we'll just get, I suppose, Doctor Who in its purest form and the form that it was intended, I suppose, to be watched in a way.
Yeah, and it's also going to be interesting as well because as we get into the 80s, the late 70s, the 80s, TV drama becomes less radio with pictures and more visual, which I think is going to walk hand in hand with this series.
I mean, for me, for example, like, people rave about the Caves of Androzani. Now, I've watched the Caves of Androzani several times over the years and gone,
No, I don't rate it.
Don't rate this at all.
It was a bit dull.
But yeah, couldn't really get what was going on. So it's going to be fantastic to go back and watch it and go, well, yeah, either this was actually now amazing or still, and my first initial thoughts were, I still how I feel. But the fact that it's got that added element, as you said, it is going to completely open up so much more of Who for us.
Yeah, it is. And I tell you what, I'm going to be interested to see how they describe the Fifth Doctor's regeneration theme.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. The one thing that I was a little bit annoyed about, because I did go and check it out, they don't describe Patrick Troughton's final scene.
That's a shame.
Don't they?
No, it's just... No, it just describes the different faces on the monitor, and then that's it. And you just hear his vocals, obviously, and that's it. So you don't actually know what goes on.
But that's where it ends.
Yeah, but at that point
It's literally him in blackness.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It doesn't describe that, which I think is a bit of a shame. And I think it should have.
I tell you what is trippy. I watched it audio described.
Mind Robber?
We'll get to it, but the Mind Robber.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
To me, there are a couple things that stand out in particular. For instance, if I have to point out something, this is the era when people used silence more as a device.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as we go on and have more modern shows, it's just not there.
We're going to go through 26 years of TV history. For the classic series, and then the movie, which is just a different kettle of fish altogether. And we're going to see what it's like. We're going to see the changes, you know, from a auditory perspective.
Yeah.
Which I am really looking forward to this adventure.
It should be
Same.
good.
So, gentlemen, how would you rate as an intro and as a standalone episode An Unearthly Child by Anthony Coburn?
For me, at least, I would probably rate this a good 9 out of 10 for all the, you know, little nods and things that it, you know, that it predicts, it gets right, the whole setup. Yeah, I'd say easily a good strong 9 out of 10.
It's a very hard question for me because I'm also comparing this with shows in this era. And I don't think any other show was that solid. So honestly, I would say around 9.5-ish. It's a very strong introduction.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there was anything else like it. I mean, especially in regards to the music, at least. I think there was only one other instance that I'm aware of that music was done electronically. And I think that was in the late 50s. I don't even think it was on TV. I think it was on radio.
Also something else that we need to keep in mind that, you know, Doctor Who didn't have as big of a budget, right, as other shows.
Oh, God, no. No,
it's
no,
a
not at all.
testament of...
Well, it had...
You don't need a lot of budget to make a good show.
No, you don't. I mean, how many times have you seen a show that's got like 4 or 5 million an episode thrown at it, and you think, really, what did it go on?
Yeah.
You know, what was it spent on?
Yeah.
And
probably in the bloke
I feel that
the TARDIS door.
I feel that in a lot of respects, it just goes to show that, you know, it shows that you don't need a lot of money to put forward a good show and have a good show. I feel that you know, it shows that the writing then stands on its own 2 feet and speaks for itself, and that you don't need money. You know, money does not make a good show. Yeah, I think that's where a lot of modern media kind of loses track, and I think almost you know, they expect that, oh, because he's got the money, it's going to be good. Well, that's not the case, and I feel a lot of modern producers and writers kind of almost.
I mean, they just push this on you, don't they? You know, they always want the flashy stuff. They always want a lot of budget, even though, you know, it's not necessarily warranted.
Look at Amazon, you know, with their is it Citadel show? You know, they spent millions on that, going, oh, this is going to be great, this is going to be great, this is going to be great, and it got a fairly lukewarm reception.
So, Legion, what do you think your rating is?
Mine, I very much agree with Liam. It's a 9 out of 10. As an introduction, it's stellar. It is TV history. But the story it's attached to, which we're going to come to in our next episode,
is a different beast, isn't it, entirely?
Is a different beast altogether. You literally, you know, you literally go from this, oh yeah, this is amazing, to, oh God.
Yeah. You could say that it was somewhat, definitely stays in the Stone Age, isn't it? The rest of the story.
Yes.
I think it's watchable once.
Once, yeah.
But that's it, really.
Once.
Like, if you think about Doctor Who, it's not the episode I would return to.
No.
I still like it for what it is.
No.
Yeah.
Well, you know, people will be saying that in years to come when it's a lost episode. Do you know the issue with Steph Coburn? So, I just the fact that Steph Coburn is the last I heard was trying to hunt down every film element and get it destroyed, and the BBC went, no, it's our property.
Really? Wow. What an absolute imbecile.
I'm getting my lawyers on you, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, that's nice, it's our property. You have the right to refuse us to broadcast it,
But you don't have to write for us to.
But one day you'll be dead.
I mean,
And the BBC will never die.
it's crazy, isn't it? It's just absolutely nuts.
The immortal
It is.
BBC and the immortal TV show.
Tory government couldn't kill us off.
No.
We change.
Huh.
The Jimmy Savile scandal couldn't kill us off. We change.
Change, my dear. Not a moment too soon.
And it would seem not a moment too soon. 60 years ago, we had an irascible... He wasn't an old man. He was old before his time, though. And he died very prematurely. We had William Hartnell, and look at it now. He was a very much an English man with English ideals. And our current Doctor Who is a Scot, who is played Doctor Who for the second time running. And when he leaves, we're getting a
Black Scottish Rwandan
actor, Scottish Rwandan gay actor.
Yeah, So
if that doesn't say progression and change and embracing it,
don't know what does.
I don't know what does.
No, exactly.
I mean, no, I'm not going to slate it. I'm going to be nice about the show in this episode.
For now.
I'll not talk about the era between 2017 and 2023.
Oh, we'll
No.
get there.
No.
If we continue with the reboot. And the reboot.
I'll be ill for those 31 weeks.
Yes, yeah. Same. I think you'll be presenting. But I think you'll be presenting
I'm
that
not
on
doing
your
this
own.
alone.
Like...
Right, so this is when the podcast will end, guys.
He's like, I'm the new guy. I don't have to do it.
When we reach
Yes.
that episode, the podcast is going dark.
We'll literally be like, we'll end it at Twice Upon a Time, and then we'll start it up at the 60th anniversary, the Star Beast.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, we have released 31 episodes, but they've been lost in the ether.
Yeah, they've gone missing.
Somehow.
Can you find them for us, please?
Yeah.
Send in tapes or anything that you might have.
Yeah.
We'll even accept Betamax. Dear. Right, gentlemen. Shall we call that For an Unearthly Child?
Sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Like a plan.
That's a wrap.
Excellent. No, thank you. And obviously going forward, I surmise the episodes to be slightly longer because we're going to be talking about more than just half an hour.
Yeah.
But
Definitely. And it's
I very much enjoyed this.
Catch
Sounds
you
good.
guys in a bit then.